Welcome to our Posh podcast. I'm here with my co-hosts, my amazing co-hosts today, my daughter Marcella.
Hello.
My son Gino.
Let's go.
And our amazing sweet Spider.
Hola, amigos.
I know you guys, we cannot believe it. I can't believe I don't have anything here, but it's been hard with the pandemic to even go get things and do things. But this is our number 200 episode.
Can't believe
I
it.
don't even have any fun music or sound effects either right now.
I mean, it is 200 shows. This is unbelievable.
A lot of talking.
A lot of talking. A lot of amazing shows, really, with people sharing their stories that have really touched us and have been funny and fun. And we love our segments with Party with Miss Polly. And I love when Gino can come and co-host. I know his schedule sometimes is busy. And we miss Bernie today. I know he was really looking forward to episode 200. I promised I would share my Mafia life story with everyone.
Yes.
And everyone always asks and everyone always says you have to write a book, and everyone is always like, when are you doing it? When are you doing it? And I was really reluctant for a while because I didn't know how to start it and how to do it correctly. And there's a lot of research on my part because this is a long time ago that this happened. So I wanted to make sure I had my facts straight. I didn't, like Marcella started doing it on TikTok. She started doing the story in like 1 minute. She has two of them in 1 minute TikTok fashion.
Yeah, that's like really hard. Talk fast.
And it just gives you a little, and I know that one of the comments was, sure your mom didn't know. Well, I'm going to preface this right from the beginning. I really didn't know.
My other favorite comment is, you guys must be like living big now off of the money. And I'm like, no.
Just listen.
No, I wish.
Yeah, I wish, right?
I still think there's a stash somewhere with our name on it.
Well, you don't know where it is. So, no.
And before I start, I want to remind everyone again, please follow us, like us, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We get new videos every single week, and we would really appreciate the support very much. And I'm going to start this particular Mafia story. I think it's only right if I start from the very beginning. And I was born and raised in Linz, Austria, which is a small town comparably to the United States. And when you live in a town like that, Austria doesn't have mafia. I can promise you guys that. There is no mafia in Austria. I don't even know if I can say that I even heard of it, maybe watched it in a movie and probably didn't even think about it, didn't understand what it's about, whether it's even a real thing. Growing up, I had a great first part of my life because both sets of grandparents raised me with my parents. My parents were very young. My mom was barely 18 and my dad was 21 years old when they had me, and they both sets of grandparents thought that they were way too young, and so they were like, well, bring her to me. So I was always kind of shuffled around with them, but they were great people. And there's an interesting background story on that because one of my grandfathers was in World War II, and he was actually in a concentration camp. And my other grandfather was such a Hitler fan. It's just so crazy to say that out loud, but he was, because back then in the day, Hitler promised all these amazing things to people, and my grandfather totally fell for it. And he actually had books and books, like scrapbooks that he put together, and I wished I had those today. I cannot believe I don't have them. Part of the reason I don't have them is because I moved to the United States, and people would freak out what he had. I still remember it.
Does Oma have them?
No.
Or Horsty?
Mm-mm. No, this was always me. I always saved everything, but moving here, I didn't. So I think they got rid of it. So, but that was always interesting because my grandmother lived in an apartment that had the bomb shelter in the apartment, and she was actually in charge of the key of it. Like, she owned it. So anytime they would have bombings and the sirens would go off, the whole entire apartment complex went and congregated in their bomb shelter cellar. And my grandmother told me so many stories about it. It was crazy. And then when we all went to Austria, my grandmother was still alive and showed
It's really cool.
them the bomb shelter.
It was really, really neat. I love that.
It's so interesting, right?
And the concentration camp is so amazing.
And it's just so crazy. And my grandmother, when my grandfather was in the concentration camp, she would befriend all the American soldiers, and they allowed her to see my grandfather like from the fence, which was not allowed, but they all loved my grandmother.
Didn't she like bring them chocolate or something? That's why I always laugh when people are kind of talking about COVID and like, this is the worst thing ever. And then you think about
World
like
War II.
World War II. And you're like, well, I think you'll be okay. At least there's not like bombs outside of your bedroom.
Well, like my grandmother's apartment that had the bomb shelter, actually the apartment did get hit with a bomb one time. And I think my dad was like 3 years old and my aunt was maybe 1. They were in the bomb shelter, and my grandmother told stories. I mean, that's really, really scary. You have to rip your babies out of the bed and run down there, and it's just crazy. But that was part of my childhood. And then my grandfather, the one that was in the concentration camp, I think he couldn't handle all that. That was a lot. He got injured also. He had he was involved in some bombing shooting, and he had an injury on his hand. And I always remember him trying to tie his shoelaces, and he had such a hard time. And my grandfather became an alcoholic because of it. And that changed the entire path of my family because it became really, really ugly. And my dad, who always despised that his dad was an alcoholic, also became an alcoholic. And my mom was very tough, but with an alcoholic dad and a really tough mom, their marriage started unraveling, and my life became chaos. It was always chaos, constant chaos. I remember always just even getting up and having breakfast. There was always fights. My dad would come in the kitchen and start the day with headache pills and a beer. Like I just remember it so vividly, and I knew that was wrong. And the fighting was just, I have no words. It was just ugly. They would beat each other with tennis rackets.
What?
Oh, it was awful. And
I think that's where some of my anger comes from.
Man.
I've said that before. It was so stressful as a child, though, because I remember just laying in bed shaking. I was always shaking because they fight so much. And the chaos of it, and then the holding grudges, that was probably the worst part of it all. I think I could have handled the fighting and if they got over it, but when they had a fight, and this is no lie, we lived in a 2-bedroom apartment, they would not speak to each other, not one word, for like a month. And I always knew it because I would come home from school, and when the door to the living room was closed, I was like, not again. Like, they wouldn't even communicate about the children. And my brother is 7 years younger than me, and he and I became so close because it was so chaotic. So I always took care of him, and we were so close. And I remember I had to pull my mom back from the balcony one time. She tried to jump off the balcony because she thought my dad was cheating on her. I mean, it was like
But he was cheating on her.
I didn't know any of this.
You didn't listen to Mom's story a few episodes before? Oh, maybe a long time ago, but
Before what?
it was like when you talked about all this stuff. We've done this, like the alcoholic dad, and
I haven't heard that one.
It was just very, very difficult. And I think when you grow up in so much chaos, I couldn't wait to leave. Like, I could not wait to leave the house I was growing up in. Like, today my mom and I are super close, but we weren't close at all. Like, she would threaten me with a knife one time. It was just really psychotically crazy. Another story that sticks out to me was, like, I'm just naturally not a liar. I've never lied in my life. I don't like lies. I hate them. I despise them. And when I had to go to school, I had to go with a electric bus and a electric trolley that took me to school. And this one day we had this huge power outage. The whole city was out, and the bus and the trolley both were electric, and I couldn't, it wasn't working. And I walked home. I remember walking in, and she was screaming at me, and I said, but I couldn't do anything. We didn't have phones back then either. So she started beating me with a belt. It was absolutely the most horrific, horrible thing. It would not believe me. It was awful, awful, awful. And I remember the next day it was all in the newspaper about the power outage, and she didn't apologize, nothing. It was just awful. It was a terrible way to grow up, and I couldn't wait to get out. And when I turned 18, I went to work for a very, very prominent lawyer in my city. And I rented an apartment. It was like a 1-bedroom with everything, just small, tiny. Studio. And I loved it so much because there was so much peace. That was the first time there was peace. There wasn't craziness. It wasn't insane. And I just wasn't happy with the job, though. I had some friends from there, and I'm still friends with them. I see them on Facebook sometimes, but we had a office manager. She was god awful. I couldn't wait to get away from her either, because I was like, now I'm away from all that other craziness, and she was crazy. So I decided to go to Kitzbühel, which is one of the most famous ski resorts in Austria. And I worked for a hotel there. And I thought, oh my gosh, this was so exciting to me. I cannot explain. This was my dream job. I wanted to work the front desk there. And it was just very interesting, because when I got there, they said you got room and board there. And when you got there, the room you got, there was no heat. This is a ski resort. And it was super cold, and people were thieves. I learned that. I don't know if anyone here, my experience was that in the hotel industry, there were a lot of thieves. I don't know if that is something.
The workers or guests?
Workers, other people you work with. It was
steal from guests?
Steal from you.
Oh.
It was just crazy. I got all my makeup stolen one time. Now you know how terrible that is.
Oh my gosh.
And I got sick. I got the flu, because I kept saying, no wonder, it was so cold. I could never get warm. And I did not feel good, and it kept not feeling good. And then I was like, you know what, this is not right. So I went back home, and I moved in with my mom. And within a very short time, I got bacterial meningitis. And there's 2 different forms of meningitis, viral and bacterial meningitis. Viral meningitis is also bad, but you can recover from it. Bacterial meningitis can be fatal, and it can kill you actually rather quickly. And I remember I actually was in a coma and
What?
for 24
You don't know this?
for 24 hours.
Gina knows nothing of our mother.
And
She was 19, right?
yeah, I was 18.
Oh.
What?
And it was so crazy, because my best girlfriend at the time lived right above the apartment from me. And I had been with her, and we had eaten dinner. And I still remember it to this day. I had this weird pain inside my elbow. And I was like, God, that's so weird. What is that? I went downstairs, which was 20 stairs maybe, to my apartment. I laid down, and within hours, I wasn't feeling well. And then I don't remember, but my mom said that I was in a coma, and they didn't know what was wrong with me. And they asked my girlfriend, did you guys do drugs? Because they didn't know what happened. And she said, oh my God, no. And so they called an ambulance, and the doctor came to the house, and he immediately diagnosed me with it. And they said, because of this quick diagnosis is why I not only survived, but also have no other things, because you can either go blind, deaf, you can have all these health issues from it.
Could that be why you have migraines?
I don't think so, because I
Oh.
got migraines when I was 14.
Oh.
But I was in the hospital for 2 weeks, and it just got really sick. And for 6 months, I wasn't feeling well, but I started looking for other jobs, because I had to have a job, and I didn't want to stay with my mom forever. So I stayed there for 6 months and I started getting a job. And I remember this. So I'm telling this whole story because I'm such a big believer in sometimes you make decisions that put you on paths that you don't realize when you make the choice and this decision. And I got 2 job offers on the same day, and they both looked great for me at the time. And one was with a company that was in Linz, and it was a great company, but it was a new company. And the second company was an insurance company that had several locations, and the main one was in Vienna. And I kept saying to my mom, which one should I do? I just don't know. I don't want to make the wrong decision. And my mom just said, well, I don't know. Together we figured out I should do the insurance company. And I started working there.
In Vienna?
In Linz.
Oh.
And very quickly, because I was single, I was young, within a year, they said, we want you to take this job in Vienna. It's a really good opportunity. It was the main hub, and I was going to be the secretary to the PR department, which was at the time a really, really amazing thing for myself. And before all that, I have to tell one more story because this is a big part of my life. And Gino is probably going to be in shock when he hears it because I don't think he knows about this. But when I started feeling better and I was working, I went out to a club one night with friends and we were celebrating, and there were these people and they started like, come over. They were, you know how in clubs, like, like the people that are like the table service, I guess you could say. That wasn't like that though, but same thing.
Yeah.
And they invited me to that table, and it was a bunch of people, and they were foreign, but I couldn't figure out what they were. And the one guy was like, I want you to go to another club with me, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, yeah, why not? We had a great time. And we walked to this hotel where he was staying, and he said, well, we're going to get in the car. But he was going downstairs to the parking garage. And something, cannot explain it. I freaked out. Like, I was always very careful with and safe with myself. And I was like, I don't know this guy. I'm not going in a car. I started running like a freak. I totally ran back to the club, and I still remember thinking, he's going to think I'm crazy, but I don't care. I ran in the club, found my friends, went to the bathroom and said, oh my God, I couldn't do it. I could not go to this other club with him. I got scared. And all of a sudden someone goes, no, you shouldn't be scared. This someone was Ricky, which is my best friend today, and is Marcella's godmother. And she was friends with these people. And she goes, they're the nicest people. You shouldn't be afraid, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward. They were Saudi Arabian oil sheiks, just to tell you this kind of stuff.
Yeah, Mom dated him.
I dated this.
I knew this.
They didn't know this?
I knew this.
So I dated this Saudi Arabian oil sheik for a little bit, but he was a controlling, crazy person. And it was off and on for a very long time. Went to the USA. Ricky with her boyfriend, me with him. We actually came to the USA. That was my first trip here. And went back home, moved to Vienna. The Saudi Arabian boyfriend came, decided where I lived wasn't good enough, got me this really ritzy apartment in Vienna in this great part of it. And I loved my job. I'm going to preface this with this. My job in Vienna was the best. I had the best people to work with. It was awesome. I get a phone call from the Saudi Arabian boyfriend. He decides he wants to come and talk to me. And I guess we got back in a relationship, but he was always gone. Like, they don't stay around long. So that was kind of cool. And I mean, when you also date a Saudi Arabian oil sheik, you're very spoiled. So I became very spoiled. I'm not going to lie.
Was he good looking?
I
Be
mean,
honest.
he looked like a Saudi Arabian oil sheik.
What does that look like?
What does that mean? Did you think the guy was cute?
I didn't think he was cute.
Okay. So what made you stay?
I don't know. I thought it was an exciting life. Kind of, it was fun and exciting, and it was kind of like fun because Ricky dated his best friend. So it was just, I don't know.
I got
I
it.
was young.
I got
That's
it.
all I can say. So then he and I got into a huge fight. We kind of were not together for a while, but he called me and wanted to meet at this restaurant to have a conversation. And I just wasn't into it. So I took a girlfriend and I didn't care if he liked it or not. Like if he didn't like it, I was going to leave. But we got there early and we went to the bar, and that's where I met your dad.
All right.
Your dad was at that bar. And so I'm with my girlfriend and we're sitting at the bar, and your dad starts a conversation, of course, sat next to us. But what was interesting is,
What did he say?
I didn't speak the language very well. I don't really remember. What I do remember is that he spoke more to my girlfriend than me.
Who?
Your dad.
No, what girlfriend?
I don't even remember what girlfriend. It was just a
Oh.
girlfriend from Vienna.
Okay.
And Piraneri, who was a member of the Colombo crime family and was the dad of Marcella and Gino today, but I had no idea how fast my life would change from the day I met him. And I often had asked myself, how did I get here? And this is the beginning part. And this
So
is
sorry.
to be
I'm
continued.
so sorry.
What?
Marcella just sent me
What?
Saudi Arabia prince. There's no way
Stupid.
that's you.
Did he wear a thing on his head?
Turban.
No.
Oh.
He'd never wear a turban. He was always dressed in 5-star suits, like
Well, I just
$10,000
Googled
suits.
Saudi Arabian prince.
How
Did he
about-
have a big, thick beard?
No.
Okay.
Clean shaven.
Well, Marcella gave me the most.
I just did the Saudi
Prototypical-
Arabian
This is
prince.
false advertising,
This is
guys. And you're missing the best part. I
I'm
said,
listening.
I'm listening.
we're going back to Oil Chic. We said we're going to talk about my mafia life. This is when I met your dad.
I
I'm
heard
ready.
all that.
And I did not know how my life was going to
I heard all
Boom.
of that.
turn out.
Change.
To be continued.
Yay.
So we have to go to party with Miss Polly. Hold on. 1, 2. This should be it. And I have no idea what my question was, but prepare yourself.
Hi, Miss Polly. Hello. It's Party with Miss Polly, which is my favorite and everybody's favorite part of our show. So this question that I have for you today is, if a guy is all about pleasing a girl he's with during sex and making sure she finishes, does that mean he's probably into her, or is that how he is with everyone?
To me, there's two different guys, because there's the I want to be a porn star guy who goes through the motions, with like, I'm going to be the best lover you ever had. And they always think of themselves as being on, in terms of like, okay, if somebody were recording me, what
Ew.
or rating me,
Gross.
what would I do? It's kind of like a checklist. Okay, play with her tits, check. Suck on the tits, nipples, check. Play with the clitoris, check. Find the clitoris, check. That kind of thing. It's like they're on this little checklist of things they're supposed to do. Then there's the guy that's really into you. And you know that because they're a little nervous. They're always excited. You don't have to check to see if they're hard, because they're hard because they're really into you. And the more they're into you in terms of they want to hear you, they want to hear your reactions. They want to know that what they're doing is pleasing you. Because the guy with the checklist, he may do all the things right, but there's no emotion attached to it. It's just kind of like a checklist. Here's what you do next. Here's what you do next. Here's what you do. But the guy that's really
Oh, that sounds so, I don't know.
pornography.
Yeah, I don't know. Ugh,
But there's guys out there that are like that.
really?
Yeah.
Have you ever come across one?
Yeah.
Like, you have?
and it's
So
really
was that enjoyable? No. What was it?
no. I'm like, okay, that wasn't even remotely enjoyable. You were, if they're like more concerned about doing everything like that they think they're supposed to do, or that I found one guy watching himself in the mirror.
I've heard about that a lot.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I was
Like American Psycho.
are you? And like going, yeah,
Oh, stop!
yeah. I was just like,
That is awful.
yeah,
Don't you want to go? Okay, that's enough. Bye.
we're done.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah.
Oh my
Are you
god.
finished? Actually, I kind of think I said that. I was like, are you finished? Are you
You
done?
did.
Yeah. And he looks like, what? Are you done? I'm like, yeah, a long time ago. Thanks.
Long time ago. That's funny. He's like admiring himself. Oh my God.
Uh-huh. Like, you're not that good looking. Sorry.
Oh. Ah! Oh my gosh. Thank you, Miss Polly.
Thank you.
Okay. I have heard that before a lot. Like American Psycho in the movie. They just watch themselves.
What?
Yeah. I've never experienced that, but I've heard about it.
That you know of.
That's true. Maybe I don't know. That's true. I'd rather not know.
Okay, let's try a question of the day. Hopefully I do it right.
Gina didn't want to talk about that
I don't
one.
have any input.
The two posh girls ask the question of the day.
Jeez. Okay.
Hey.
Question of the day, Miss Polly, for you.
Yes.
Have you ever cheated and not been caught?
Yes.
Just Polly, I'm disappointed.
And would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
No.
No.
It was actually a boyfriend like when I was in college. And the funny part is that I was working as a delivery driver for pizza. And he lived in this one apartment complex.
She delivered pizzas.
And the other guy that I was hooking up was on the other side of the same apartment complex.
No.
She delivered him a pizza and went in.
Yeah. There were times when I wasn't really
Yeah.
working.
All right. And you never got caught? He never knew?
Never knew.
That's and did you feel guilty or you didn't care?
I was young, didn't really care.
I knew that was coming.
I know, it's so horrible, but
Funny. I think it's funny.
I think when you're not into it, you just don't care as much anyway. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Gino, no. I
No.
haven't cheated.
No.
And didn't get
I've
caught.
not cheated.
I mean,
I won't even talk to another girl.
Very loyal.
very.
No, I just have been cheated on, so I it feels like so I don't cheat. I just will break up.
Spider.
I can't think of any. Does it count if I told him I was going to before I did it?
No,
So they
that's
knew ahead of time?
that's
Nope.
honest.
All right.
Yep.
But no?
No.
I'm curious about what that means. You told your girlfriend I'm going to cheat on
Yeah.
you? And
Yeah,
she
it's
was
the
like,
girl that I dated for like 2 years, and it was never really serious.
Mm.
So it was kind of open.
How'd she feel about that?
She's fine. She was doing the same thing. She just
Oh.
didn't really tell me about it
Oh.
because I didn't want to know.
Well, there you go. So it's more like an open relationship.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's different.
On that note,
Thank you.
thank you for listening. Please subscribe. Please
Share.
like, share. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.